In the Adirondack mountain village of Saranac Lake, just off Broadway, a restaurant and bar called the Belvedere satisfies appetites, wets throats, and more. The food, drink, and decor never seem to change. The building dates to 1890. Inside, time stands still. The Cavallo family opened the Bell, as patrons fondly call it, in 1933, the year Franklin Roosevelt became president.
My grandmother that started the restaurant here at the Belvedere, her brother came up to Saranac Lake in the 20s and married a kind of a wealthy woman in town. And he ended up buying this building, which I didn't know in the tax records till I saw that in the 20s sometime. So he must have either leased it out or resold it or did something. But as near as I can tell, in 1933, my grandparents were living with him. He owned Patsy's Italian Restaurant, which is now the Vets Club in Saranac Lake. And they were living upstairs there and probably helping out until they maybe found a business they could start. And they ended up buying the Belvedere and opening it for business in 1933. Then my father and my aunt were born. My aunt, who never married Genevieve, she's an institution here. She was the chef here after my grandmother until 1983 when I became the chef. So my father and my aunt and my mother ran the place all through the 50s, and my grandparents helped out. They never really retired until they died. I was born in 1956, and I had two brothers that were born in the 50s, and my sister was born in the 60s. So all the time we were growing up, since I've been 9 or 10 years old, I've worked here. And every Sunday, my first job was to clean the bar. We always cleaned the bar, my brothers and I, and we'd put money in the jukebox and listen to the music, and we'd try to clean. And one of the impetuses to cleaning was he'd throw change under the radiators, and we knew that. So the first thing we did when we came in was take the change out from under we'd look under everything for money. So the cleanings kind of sometimes, didn't get done as well as it should have been because we were always after that money. I worked all through college and weekends tending bar to give my father a break because he worked from 9 in the morning. We were open in those days, 8, 9 o'clock, the bar. And a lot of his cronies drank in the morning back then. They all died young, but there was a lot of them that drank back in those days. After the war especially, they were all, all loud of voices, smoking and drinking. So after I graduated, I told my parents I wanted to run the place. And they were a little bit against it at first because they knew how much work was involved. And so I started working more and more and more, and gradually they couldn't say much about it because they wanted to get done too. In 1983, I got married, and then that year I asked my brother Joe, who had cerebral palsy, if he would like to come up here and run the business with me. He was in Florida. And he said yes. So he came up and he'd run the bar, and I ran the kitchen pretty much, and we got along good that way. We didn't fight much because we each had our own station. I'd take care of the food and he'd take care of the drinks. And my brother Joe was something else. Everyone who ever met him loved him because he worked, God love him, and he never wanted disability, never wanted anything. He really, if you knew Joe, you'd know what I mean. He worked hard behind that bar, and everyone loved him. So we went on that way until recently, and then last February he passed away, and now his wife Lillian and I are partners in the restaurant.
I moved across the street when I was 5, and at that point, Jerry's grandfather ran it, and they opened at 8 in the morning, and they closed at 1 in the morning. So the Belvedere sign out front was basically my nightlight when I was growing up.
It's 32 years now I've worked for the family. Awesome family to work for. I was in between semesters at school, at college, and I came in looking for a job. They told me they weren't hiring right away, and I was like, okay. I came back, it was early September, came in to have a quick beer, and next thing I know, I'm working.
People of all stripes walk into the Belvedere. Everyone, regulars, out-of-towners, and the proud owners and staff, seem to agree. The service, the food, and the ambiance are about as good as it gets.
I've been living in Saranac Lake for 34 years, and this has been my restaurant of choice most of the time. And people say, where are you going to go? I'm going to go to the Bell. How you got to go to the Bell?
It's very homey. The Belvedere is very homey and very family-oriented.
Well, it's just fantastic. Every time we come here, it's always the same. The service is good. The food is excellent. There's never any disappointment.
Whenever I come across a technique or a term I don't know, I look it up immediately. I have to learn everything there is to know about cooking. It really is a passion of mine at this point. I didn't start that way. But a lot of the recipes are just old Cavallo recipes. They really taught me well. They know what they're doing.
They still do everything homemade. I don't like sausage day when Jerry is grinding the sausage and then he puts it in the casing and it's, ew, the smell. But it's homemade. They're not making it up. It's for real.
You know everybody in every single booth or table. They're all your friends. You see people that you don't see other places, and it's always a great social event when one comes to the Belvedere.
We've always had people, especially back in the 70s when I first started here in the 80s, not so much now because a lot of them have died off, but people that came, some of them came every night of the week and ate here. And there'd be people that certain nights of the week you knew they were going to be here. On Sunday night, you knew there was going to be these 8 people at the round 8. And you knew that certain other people would be in there. You'd look out and they sat in the same table. They wanted their table. If they didn't get their table, they'd wait for it or they'd get mad and leave sometimes.
When I have family that visits, I bring them here. One Christmas, I brought 10 family members. They ordered the chicken cacciatore and it was the best they'd ever had. And they were from California. So they were very impressed. Wanted to come back every night. We love the sauce, we love the people, we love the family. They're an authentic Saranac Lake family, and it shows. And the care that they put into everything follows through.
We have been coming over to the Belvedere for probably about 40 years. I even named my dog the Belvedere.
The personable and aptly named Bob Bell, the Bell's fast-moving head waiter, has been serving and entertaining his neighbors for 32 years. He's as familiar to and as beloved by regulars as the red sauce, the pasta dishes, the cold beer, and the pine-paneled walls.
The Belvedere and Bobby Bell, the names just chime and ring together. You never can forget your waiter when you come to the Belvedere and have Bobby Bell wait on you.
The Belvedere Bar Room is cozy, warm, and authentic. It's a world all to itself. The atmosphere is 1933. Prohibition has just been lifted. Cheer pours from the taps and swirls in every glass, and there's always plenty to talk about.
People can come in and catch up on local gossip and see who's around and what's up. And, you know, if you want to have a full dinner, fine. If you just want to come in and have a glass of wine or a beer or whatever, you can usually find out what's going on in town.
All the memories will really be about birthdays with my parents while they were still alive, and my daughter's 21st birthday, maybe 16th birthday. I mean, both daughters. I have 2 daughters, and we celebrated everything always here. There was never a question. It's always at the Belvedere.
We've been cleaning the place up since I was a little kid. You know, been coming here since I was legal because they wouldn't let me come in when I was illegal.
I think family owned makes a huge difference in lots of different places. I really think that, you know, your heart and soul is in it. And especially when your kids grow up there, you have certain memories of that. And I feel a little bit like my kids grew up here.
I started washing dishes here probably in 10th grade. And just recently, I moved up to bartending, and that's very enjoyable. You meet a lot of characters, get to know people that you knew real well, so we have a lot of fun.
I'm the new man on the block. It's a little odd, but I kind of got the swing of things. It's a bunch of great people, so it's not like you're coming into a buy-ins den. Everyone's so nice, and it's just a great group of people to work with.
Bartending can be very difficult. I've done it over 30 years, off and on, in various different locations, and this is the warmest, the nicest, most generous people, you know, that you could ever find.
Saranac Lake calls itself the capital of the Adirondacks. If the capital has a hub, it's the Belvedere. Around this treasured institution, the whole town, and maybe even the region, seem to turn. Just ask the owner, the chef, the waiters, the kitchen help, the bartenders, and the customers. They'll tell you from the heart.
If you don't make people welcome, you're never going to have any success. You got to at least do that, you know? Or else you wouldn't be able to stay in business for as long as we have. My gosh, 80-something years, 50% of all restaurants fail in the first year or two, you know, new restaurants. And to go 80-something years is is quite an achievement.
You have a mix of people, and I think that's what makes the Belvedere special. Is you have a mix of staff. We really get along well. We have a good time together. We actually really like each other, and we love our customers. We have a one-on-one relationship with most of our customers. I consider it part of my job in the beginning, but now I just love everyone.
After a while, you start to really get to know people that come in and eat dinner here. I mean, when I started, I knew just about everyone, but there was people that came in that, you know, I didn't know, and I ended up really becoming friends with them and look forward to seeing them come in, and they start to really learn my background. I learn theirs, and it's just, it's great. It's working with, you know, family.
I come in for dinner even on my days off sometimes, and I'll order a steak. The steaks we hand cut and hand trim right to the order. Same way with all our veal dishes too. I mean, I love veal, and it's all fresh veal that we use. There isn't a salesperson that comes through that door that tries to sell us prepackaged or cryovac or what have you. We won't talk to them again. We always use the freshest product that we can get.
Steak's delicious, and chicken parm, chicken marsala. You know, there's a whole list.
For me to be here with all my favorite people for as long as I have and got to know all these people, it's really, really hard for me to leave this place. And so I don't know when I ever will. I guess I'm stuck here too.
I make a toast to the Belvedere. The Belvedere is by far the finest restaurant in the mountains, period.